Right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. Okay, so okay, we are waiting for more people to join us before we before we shoot. Okay, as soon as we have a number of people join, I'm going to be bringing on our guests, and we'll be starting almost immediately. So, good afternoon. So, if you are just joining and wondering where you are in a live space where we'll be talking about nursing internship in Nigeria. And we hope it's again educative this afternoon. All right. Thank you for joining. I can see some people joining. I can see Precious, Buki Boduri. Thank you for joining, my dear colleague. Okay, Bolade, Miss Ade, Bay, Miss Ori. Thank you for joining. I saw you last week, I think, and you're joining again today. Obi Miriam, thank you for joining. Okay, so not to take too much of our time. So this is the second series of nursing internship experience in Nigeria. And if you actually missed the last session, you want to check my Instagram page or you go to YouTube to check for it. It was very educative, and we try as much as possible last week to discuss the essence of nursing internship. What is the program all about? And I think we also talked about the criteria. Thank you for joining, KG. Good afternoon from here. Okay, so but this afternoon, not to take too much of our time, we'll be talking about basically what the conversation this afternoon is going to center around is remuneration. And I'm very sure this is an important aspect that people really want to talk about. And okay, so I will not be the only person talking on this space this afternoon. Thank you, KG. Okay, so I'll be bringing on Nurse Ojoye Feolua. She has completed her internship program and will be. Okay, so all right. Okay, good afternoon, Ife.
Good afternoon.
How
Good
is the
afternoon,
weekend?
everyone.
How is the weekend going over there?
It's fine, thank you.
All right.
And I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I do not think it's for granted. Okay, so thank you for joining us, Dance. All right, so let's just start immediately. So I posted a video yesterday. We saw a video circulating yesterday. Should we start the conversation from there? Let's not jump. Okay, so let's take it gradually.
Okay.
I know people are excited. And I mean, they anticipate this particular topic where we want to talk about the pay and all. So, and we are going to be doing our best this afternoon to really go into that topic and discuss, in our own opinion, the necessary things that we think it will be important for you to note as a nursing student and as a fresh graduate. Thank you for joining, Sarah. Thank you for joining, Samuel. He was my guest last week. Yeah, thank you for joining. All right, so let's just start already. Okay, so Ife, can you just briefly share with us how your internship experience was? I mean,
Okay. Thank you, Dara. Thank you, everyone that joined this space. I am grateful and I do not take it for granted. So, internship, uh, it was it was something else for me. The thing is, in my school, I was the first person to start internship in my class. And I had no idea of what to do. I was completely lost. even when we went for interview, I went with my fellow colleagues, but I was the only one that was picked. Now you might think that's like a very good thing, and I tell you, it's dicey, because by the time they picked me, that was 2 days after the interview. We were told to come and start work immediately. I think that was like they told us to start on they told us on the weekend, so I was to start the following Monday. I had no house. I did not know anybody, and it was not serious. So it was very mind blowing. So one of the things I realized during that time, and I want to put it out, is um have people around you. My church, the FCN, really helped me a lot, and I would put it out there that they were very wonderful. I had no place to stay, and they housed me for more than 2 weeks. So let's moving on. I started at GOPD, and it was very easy for me because if my colleagues know me, I'm not very, I'm a very timid person. I could be scared a lot. So starting at a clinic helped me. I was able to know one or two things before going to the ward. Now on getting to the ward, I wasn't shy anymore. I already knew what to do. I'd spent 2 weeks, 2 months, sorry, in clinic. So moving to all the special wards, like eye clinic, renal, etc. It was something I did it effortlessly, and I was quite good at my job. I realized the one thing actually, you cannot know everything. So just ask questions. Ask. They would. I know sometimes you can work with people that would expect you to know everything, but if you don't know it, there's nothing wrong in asking. There are sometimes that we do some procedures and it will be like, they expect me to know it. Don't let me tell anybody. No, it's tell them you don't know it. They're not going to bite you. Then I realized that if they leave you to do your job, you'll be good at it. You build that confidence. It actually helps, and it helped me a lot. That's one of the things I.
All right, so your experience, I think it's really a lot, and you shared some important points. I mean, starting from GOPD was helpful for you, and you were able to manage your anxiety well. And I think you've really talked about that, and I think somebody in a similar state who also has similar experience trying things should take note of all of those points. So just like I promised that this conversation is going to be about basically around remuneration, and we are going to try as much as possible to discuss all the information that we have with you. But before we go into that again, Ife, in your own opinion, do you think it is necessary to, I mean, don't throw stones at me. Yeah, I'm just asking, I'm talking to the audience now. I'm only asking a simple question, and I want us to just deliberate and learn from it. And you can also drop your opinion in the comment section. And if you have questions, you can begin to drop it in the question section as well. So, in your own opinion, if do you think it is necessary to pay interns? What do you think? I mean, the period is for learning. Then, why do we need to be paid?
Most definitely, I believe interns should be paid because we are graduates. I mean, we are finished from school. The amount you spent in school cannot be quantified. Once you finish from school and I'm working, I believe I should be given an incentive, no matter how small. And it will actually go a long way. Remember, I mentioned accommodation, then there's feeding. There are a lot of things to consider. I have people at home expecting me to bring a stipend. Obviously, I cannot work in a place where I would not be given money. Money is very important.
Okay, so thank you for that. And I think another thing is that even though the period of internship is majorly for learning, but then you will still be working. Just that you'll be working with your senior colleagues under supervision. So I think that's just basically, if you join the session, the first series we had last week, we actually discussed all of these in details. That even though you are learning, you'll be doing the work. And even sometimes, depending on where you're having your internship, sometimes you will be left alone to manage the whole world. So imagine doing all of that, going through all of those stress and being accountable, because they won't take because you're an intern, not put you on the roster or be flexible with you. You would be doing what other staff nurses are doing. So
Yes, please.
it's a whole lot. And all
Okay,
right, you
I'll
want to
talk
say
about
something?
that particular part. Being accountable for interns, as much as we know that we're under supervision, there's a part of documentation. You must always document, because if any issue happens on the ward, there is high possibility it's going to bounce on the intern. So in order for you to have something to prove, something to hold on and say, this is what I did, there should be proper documentation on parts of the intern. Some people just take it seriously, like they take it on seriously, like it's not my work, I'm not on duty, I'm just an extra. And no, you are the one there, you are in charge. Show them that you are good at it, that you are in charge, then they'll give you more responsibilities and expect you to handle it well. Then there are lots of time that I did night duty alone. On a medical ward, even surgical ward too. So though it is not ideal, but this is Nigeria,
Even
and you
though
know that everywhere
if
people
yeah,
are short, like hospitals are short staffed. So you understand?
I was going to say, even though that is inappropriate, but the truth of the matter is it happens.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Okay, so thank you. So moving on to the next thing. I think we should also share this. I mean, I didn't know this when I started work, and it was because something happened. I had an experience, and I had to communicate with people. I mean, with my brother, people I have around me who had been working for some times, and they were the one now giving me the information. I mean, I was ignorant of that when I started my internship, and it is that you don't disclose your. I mean, not just for interns. I mean, for interns now, of course, due to the fact that you are many, a number of you, and the hospital is paying you the same amount, people can get to know how much you are being paid. But as you progress in your workspace, and most likely you are beginning to experience increments in pay, it is not appropriate. It is not ethical for you to disclose your pay to anybody, not even the people you are working together with. So I would like us to note this. I would like us to note this because there could be some, should I say, individual differences and then some beefing in your workplace. So you want to avoid those unnecessary stress. There was a particular time somebody was asking me to share my letter of appointment with her. Even though we work here, I knew that she was working close to one of the top officials here. So it is likely that they are the one asking her to request for it. Even with that, there was I blocked how much was stated in the letter that was going to be paid before sharing the letter with her. So to tell you how important I realized the truth is when I got to know. So it is not appropriate for you. I mean, not just when you are doing internship, as you progress in your
As a
workspace,
worker, yes.
yeah, as a worker, you must learn to keep your pay to yourself. It is not something you shout on top of the roof. So having said that, before I go further sharing my own
Okay,
experience, if
okay.
did you have
Wait,
any similar okay,
experience.
I'm going to give you now. Did you have any similar experience around that? And what was the reaction of the staff nurses or people that you are working together with when they got to know how much you are being paid?
Well, I had an experience, but maybe not the way you're talking about. So it got to a time some older nurses knew how much we're being paid as interns. And I realized I think we're paid with coin seven, while some nurses were paid with coin seven, but without the extra um um some extra money on it. So we're paid more than some of the staff nurses that started working before we came. And there was a bit of jealousy, envy, etc. It was so bad that sometimes they would tell us to our face that this is how much people are earning, and you want to play on the word. You know, it was not funny for us at all. It's got that's hey, then our roster. there was an issue with our roster because most interns, they would say there's nothing you are doing at home. There's you don't have any work. So since you are collecting the same money like as we are, there is no way you people are going to. It was in fact down to our closing time too. We closed by 3, and sometimes it'll be like since you are also collecting the same dividend, because it just did not make sense. I also realized that for those traveling out in the United States, Abi, or UK, there might be a part where you have to liaise with your employer on how much you want to be paid. Now, it is left to you for you to negotiate very well. Now, your negotiation skills, by the time it has worked and you have a particular pay, it is not for you to go and tell your other colleagues, because you might be earning more than them, and you don't want to have issues at work. You understand what I mean? So these issues, yes, we went through it too, but we're naive. We did not know. We Once any nurse asks that how much are you guys collecting, we just tell them. We tell them that we are that we are collecting this particular amount. We tell them that we need hazard allowance. Meanwhile, we did not know exactly what they were thinking about for us. But yes, it is. I would not advise for anyone to disclose the pay.
All right. Thanks so much, Ife. So I also had a similar experience. I mean, I think my first month in the world. So we just got to relating with the passers. How much are they paying you guys? I told her the amount. I mean, innocently. I mean, out of love, out of concern. And immediately after she knew the particular amount we were being paid, the way we were relating actually changed. It was obvious. So, and I was not thinking that what triggered this change in attitude. Then I realized that it was because I disclosed how much I was being paid, and because she didn't have a degree. So I want to maybe suppose I might likely even
Definitely,
issues.
definitely.
So you want to avoid issues like that. So aside the pay, I mean, this space is meant to educate you. So I think we can digress a little bit. So aside the issue of your pay, there are still other issues that it is not ethical for you to discuss at a place of work. I mean, your personal life issues, your family issues of your relationship. You don't disclose that when you're in a workspace. Yeah? I mean, you could of course have friends. I'm not talking
Professionalism,
about those
yes.
set of people, but you must still be a professional nurse as much as possible. So a particular issue, it will not be bothering you at home, and then you come to work and then you are talking about your family. It is detrimental to your self-esteem and to the way you'll be perceived in the place of work. So I think it is particular for intern nurses to note all of this, because you are just coming into the workspace environment. So these are important things that they will not teach you in class, but they are important for you to note them. So for people just joining, you are welcome. So we are talking about remuneration for intern nurses in this space, and this is the second series. So I've been seeing some comments. Thank you, Bodri, for following. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Dari, of your favorite nurse. Okay, so moving on, the reaction of
Okay.
co-workers when they get to know about how much you are being paid. So the next thing I'll be pushing to Ife to talk about is I can also see Exusia Solomon. Thank you for joining. All right,
Dara,
so we are still going to get
Dara.
to talk about how much.
Okay,
All right, you want to say something?
sorry. Yeah, I want to chip something in too. Am I? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Speak on.
Okay. So about talking to your work colleagues too, I realized that there was something that interns did not know. Um, when it comes to whether you're traveling abroad or not, as nurses, they know that a lot of us are planning to travel out, and you don't know who you are
Yeah.
giving that particular information to. We realized that a lot of people in the hospital environment are looking for nurses to, what's the word now, jackpot with. You understand? And they keep asking you subtle questions in order to know your plans. Sometimes these people don't someone will ask you out as a female nurse, and you think there is actually something there, not knowing that this person just wants to use you to travel out. But because you said all your
Are
life
you are
information
you
to
are you
the next
sharing
person,
a personal sharing a
it's
personal experience now, you say?
it's not, it's not a personal experience, not me exactly. No, but I've seen everywhere you go to, they will ask you, do you want to travel out? Do you want to travel out? Your mind, you know what you want to do. Don't spill everything to the next person. Some people are looking for maybe their cousins or their friends that wants to travel out with you. When they get there, because we hear a lot of things outside. In order to avoid it starts from this place. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for mentioning that very important point. Okay, so I can see a question that probably we should just quickly address before we move on. So, if we ask about the amount we're being paid, how can we respond to them? Yeah, so so I think this is a personal skill, this is a personal thing. You might just find a way around it and then just overlook that particular question. I mean, just try as much as possible to avoid it. And if you are to answer that question, you can just give them a response of, okay, the same amount they are paying other nurses, or maybe something around, probably you can give a range. If at all you must talk about it, just give a range. Don't mention the particular amount. Just like I mentioned earlier, that as intern nurses, because there are a number of you that the hospital or the government is paying at a particular time, it is possible that people even get to know how much you are being paid. But this is beyond internship. Even when you start working, eventually you don't
The
disclose
pay
your
slip,
pay.
yes.
And we are talking particularly about workplace environments now. To other people outside too, it is not also advisable. It is not reasonable that you disclose your pay to people, and basically because you want to avoid being on the spotlight and you want to avoid unnecessary billings. So so these are things that nobody will tell you, but you just have to get to know them by yourself. So imagine you have a relative and the person is also working somewhere and you've disclosed how much you are being paid to the particular person. They can just come to you randomly and ask you to borrow their money, which most of the times, of course, I didn't experience that, which most of the times they might likely not return. So you want to avoid issues like that. So the issue of your pay and certain issues are not better discussed in workplace. So I
Mm.
hope we are getting. So I hope I've answered your question, Miriam. Okay, so if first, so now let's get to talk about um, beyond remuneration. What are the other things that you think is necessary to consider when choosing a place to have a nursing internship? Is it just about if not, what are the other things that you think we should consider before deciding where to have an internship?
Oh, okay. I would mention remuneration, but before then, let me just list some other things I considered, using myself as an example right now. So
What is
firstly,
top on you?
obviously,
If you need to stop on your list, what is top on your
eh?
list? What is
So obviously,
top on your
money,
list?
remuneration first. But the other things I considered first, I prayed about it because prayer is the key. I
Okay.
started with a prayer. Then next, I wanted a place where I knew somebody. We all know that Nigeria, you have to know someone to get to a particular place. So I started asking that, mommy, do you know someone here? Daddy, do you know someone here? So I tailored my applications towards the places that I knew. Then um another thing is closing hours. It was important to me. There are some places where they close where they do double shifts, and there are places with triple shifts.
Now we be
If you
that.
know your kind of person, there are some people that have side hustles and might not be able to cope with double shifts. So I would not advise them to send their applications to places like that. You just have to search for information, like how many hours do you spend in this particular hospital? Just ask. They will tell you it's common, it's a common knowledge. And then another thing is your skill acquisition, your skills, like how to build up your skills. There was a particular time I had a reason to go to Abuad to take a patient there, I think for MRI, and I was wowed. Like, no, it was, I felt the equipment, everything was just on point. And I knew that, okay, if I was working here, I would really love it. Now, if you are someone like me that is inclined into that particular area, working in, say, maybe a state hospital or just anywhere might not fit in well with you. If you are someone that wants to have hands-on, like someone that is busy, working in maybe all those HMBs might not work with you too. So there are some places that you tailor your mindsets towards. Then another thing is, I realized some people have businesses, extra businesses like side hustles. You can't work in a place where they are where patients where the environment is small. Like, you need a place where it's busy, where the environment is bubbling. I sell cakes, for example, and I need a place where people are around, so I'll be able to advertise my goods and services. You understand? So if I'm working in a village, that particular part of me would be cancelled for a whole year. So that's one of the things I actually considered. So then remuneration. Now, before wait, Tara, it's not really about, it's about the money, but it's not really about the money. The benefits. You know, some places they pay hazard allowance currently, and some places don't pay. So there are questions you have to ask first. This particular hospital I'm looking towards, are they paying them early? Are they paying the hazard allowance? Because currently there are some places where they are not paying their salaries as at when due, or when you are collecting your salary on the 12th of the next month. Some people cannot survive before then, and you understand, and it's just not worth it to. You have to collect a lesser amount for them, a lesser amount at the right time that will be able to
That is
plan
consistent.
with, than to collect the money at the middle of the next month when I don't even know what I'm going to eat for the first 15-20 days. So, and then another thing.
And sorry, let me come in there. The
Okay.
unfortunate thing is that many of the times people would have gone ahead to borrow money. So when eventually the salary comes, they're having to pay debts. So
You see, then to know, sorry if I'm shading a particular place right now. So you have to ask that, are they going to put cash in your hand, like, or they are sending it to your account? It is true because you need to know. I think that I can explain that better.
no, investment.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. There are some places I mentioned housing last. Now,
Okay.
if I'm collecting a salary of 100K, but I'm paying an house rent of about 300K minus transportation, then how much do I have remaining to save? So those are the things that you have to check before you even look at all this remuneration thing. I know the money is important, but by the time I'm collecting the money, do I have something tangible to do to do with it? You understand?
All right. Yeah, so I brought you on an IG live space and you decided to come here to be throwing shades at me. No, it's wrong. Okay, so yeah, I think you really did justice to factors to actually consider. If you are somebody who has side hustles and all, you have to consider the flexibility of whichever place you'll be deciding. And also, for some people who like to travel a lot, you love to always visit home. You might also want to consider the distance from home. That because if you're actually staying somewhere very far, and to visit home, you have to travel for maybe 10 hours or maybe for a whole day. It might not really be advisable for you. And I think another thing that I would like to talk around is when you are getting your letter of appointment and they are stating how much they are going to be paying you, I think it is appropriate before writing, because usually, I mean, the culture is just to reply and say, okay, I've accepted. No, I really need to know, is it my network now or your network, Ife?
No, it's from my side, but I can hear you now.
Okay, so you really need to ask questions before just accepting the offer of appointment. Question whatever you are seeing in that particular letter. Yeah, so because the culture normally is just to accept and say you have accepted, blah, 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 and all. Well, you also have the right to question whatever is not very clarified. So
Okay.
if they are stating the amount they need to be paying you, is this the take home? Will any deduction be coming with it? So those are the things you want to make. And which kind of shifts? No, let's talk behind the scene. So ask questions, don't just accept. Okay, well, maybe because I am sharing from the mistake I made and that I had to learn from. So you question whichever offer they are giving to you. Don't just be don't be desperate to accept whichever offer that you have. But I think many of the times, maybe we in Nigeria, we do have option. And because people had spent months at home, they just want to start their. And when Ife was talking about money, he was talking about the regularity, the consistency. Those are the things you want to consider. Okay, you are applying to a place, and the last time they paid their intern nurses in the last 8 or 10 months, and they're still recruiting another set. So you can imagine what you are putting your head into. So those are the things. Those are the things. Imagine now we saw a video circulating yesterday. I also shared it on my page. We saw the lady crying and say she would commit suicide and all. Even though committing suicide is not the way out, but we can't blame the way she's reacting. I mean, just put the person was like, why did she do that for 8 months? I see, it's not easy to start internship somewhere and then it works for maybe 4 months, 5 months, and then you want to go and start somewhere else. It's not easy. That's like you wait a month of your life and you're going to start all over again. So it's not something that is that easy. Like, and now they are already in it for 8 months without being paid, and they have to go to work every day. So that's Samuel mentioned the place already. Ondo State Hospital. We also
Mm.
have someone that we eventually finished our internship together. We had a similar experience too. She came from Unimed.
Okay.
Unimed is also in Ondo State. I don't know the problem with Ondo State. So those are the questions you want to ask. I think UCH too wants the same
That
problem,
is
even though they
same thing,
eventually
yeah.
so even though they eventually paid them, and I had someone that would do communicate then, and she was telling me like she got like 1 point something million that they owe, you can imagine. So I was not asking her, how have you been surviving? Say they give her money from home. So imagine finishing from school and then you're still having to collect money from your
Money from
parents. Well, to
home.
have parents, she was privileged to have a well-to-do parent. Not everybody would.
Mm.
So those are the things you want to make inquiries on. So question your letter of appointment. If there's anything that is not clear, then question it. And all of those other important
Okay.
factors that
I
you might
remembered
want
something,
to.
Dara.
Okay,
Okay, so another thing to consider
please speak.
is the
Speak
working
on it.
relationship. Is the working relationship in the hospital. There are some places where they don't treat nurses like colleagues, and I would not want to finish from school and you still treat me like a maid or house girl and tell me to be carrying gallipot around, or you understand what I mean, or urine. So asking ahead would help. I'm not even talking about doctors now. I'm talking about fellow nurses, like your matrons. How do they treat younger nurses here? No ahead, because if you're a person that is not patient enough, you know that you cannot work in this environment. Don't bother going there. You understand?
So, KG is trying to affirm the point I'm trying to drive at, that starting all over is not easy.
No.
So I wouldn't blame those people that are hooked up in Ondo State HMB. So imagine somebody had done internship for 8 months and having to go and start some. So literally, the person is doing internship for 2 years.
Good.
And that's a waste. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. So I mentioned earlier that I had a colleague here. She did 5 months in Unimed. They were not paying them. She had to leave. So she came here and we had our internship together. So the internship that we did for 12 months. So basically she did internship for like 17 months.
17 months.
So, and imagine, look at the stress of moving from a particular area to another place again. So it's not very easy. Yeah, somebody is saying especially if one had gone far. So it's not very easy to. So you want to, before you put your head into it, you really want to make inquiries and okay, what am I putting myself into? I can remember when I was considering UCH then, I spoke with several people and they were like, UCH, you're going to learn, they will pay you, the nurses are leaving the country every now and then. They are definitely going to recruit you, but the workload there is actually high. So you also want to consider your health. I think that's another thing to consider, Ife.
Yeah.
To know the workload there and really know if you will be able to cope with it. Okay, another thing that I was going to mention is that you also want to consider the environment. So I have some friends who finished their internship in a particular town where there is no bank. So you can one. They had their internship in a town where there was no bank, and if they have any issue with their bank account, they have to travel to the nearby civilized town before they will resolve those issues. If they want to buy major stuffs, they have to travel to the next nearby um, civilized city. So you can imagine. So do you really want to put yourself into that? If you are somebody who, after working, you love to have a nice time. You want to also consider the environment. Okay, now this place I'm somewhere that this place I'm opting for. Does the environment have that option? So I think there are a whole lot of things to consider. Okay, but I think what should be the top on our list is the hospital you are considering. Is it an accredited institution? Do they have? I think you mentioned that. Do they have the facility necessary for your learning? So yeah. So I think we've discussed a whole lot around factors. I mean, other things necessary to consider before choosing a place. Do you have other things? In the comment section. Buduri is saying, just imagine. Yeah, just imagine. So having my internship somewhere where that is so local, how do I want to go? So I'm satisfied now, if I did mine. So
Well, Dara, I understand. You voice us. Yeah, your feelings, I understand. But the most important thing is that, to be sincere, you can't know how the journey will be from the beginning. That's why I said the place of prayer comes in. Those people that are stranded in this HMB Ondo thing, I'm sure they would not have chosen it if they'd known ahead. So that's one of the things I say. Information is important. If there is a slight possibility of these people not paying you, don't bother starting. Sorry. I don't advise to start at all, because it's better to wait than get somewhere that is okay, very good for you, than to enter it, you work and you still be expecting pay where you know that it's very unlikely. At least this one, someone has called them out. Now you know. It will be wrong of anybody to now to send application to that particular place again. It's seriously, because I would not advise anybody to. I know that it can be stressful looking for placements I did not go through the stress, but a lot of people went through it, traveling from one place to another. And they just think, okay, let me start here first. Then once I get to once I see a better place, I would move. Then they don't see any place and they continue working in this. Don't start at all. It's better to find somewhere okay than to find somewhere that you are not happy. If you are not happy, you will not be able to work. Your patients will know that there's something wrong. You will not be able to give your best. I want to go to my workplace. If I'm going for morning shift, I want to be happy. If I'm going to do night, I want to give my best. If you don't pay me, I won't deliver. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Ife. So Samuel is mentioning an important point here, which I would like us to consider that. I think basically what we are talking about is have a list of all of these factors and know those ones that you cannot bargain and the ones that are bargainable. Yeah, so all of these, a particular place being civilized, not civilized. I mean, the person that will be considering that should be somebody who has a lot of options. So if you are someone who does not have a lot of options, you want to rearrange your factors in the order of priority. So I think I really get that. So moving ahead, so I think now we should get talking about money. So if can you help us with how much different hospitals are paying, and so that we just get to have an idea of what it looks like? How much are intern nurses being paid?
Oh, okay. I think this is the main reason why we are here. Drum roll. So, I realized something. There are different places where interns are in Nigeria. Obviously, we're in Nigeria. The north is paid more than the southern part. I don't know why. I've not been able to find out why. But I realized that their pay is way ahead, and most of them are already collecting their hazard allowance. So, first I'm going to start with the HMB Abuja. They're collecting 105K.
Right.
HMB Oshun is collecting 87K.
So if before you go
Okay.
ahead, when we're talking about the factors we discussed earlier, I think you mentioned something, and I just feel to emphasize it again that you also want to consider the cost of living of where you want to apply to.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, all of those times when I was considering, aside the fact that I don't like Lagos, Lagos life is busy. Aside that, I also considered, okay, if I'm employed, if I'm selected to have my internship in Lagos, how am I going to sort the issue of accommodation? I don't
Hmm.
have anybody I'm going to be staying with. So I know getting a place to stay would be quite on the high side. And to not consider transport as well. Moving from where I'm eventually able to get to the hospital can be a whole lot. And I'm very sure that when you're working only would take maybe 10 minutes. You have to like
Hmm.
add extra 30 minutes
Transport
and
fare.
leave, just leave way ahead. And I know that kind of lifestyle. So, but if for you, you have someone that stay with in Lagos, I'm not crucifying Lagos now. I'm just using that as an example. I hope you, I hope you get. So,
Yeah,
if
it
you
was
have
one of the
somebody you're going
factors
to
I
be
also
staying with in
considered.
Lagos, because doing you said what?
I said it was one of the factors I also considered.
Yeah, yeah, because as an intern and just graduating from school, just starting work, you want to save. You have several things you want to use money for. So you don't want to be somewhere where you would exhaust all the money you are being paid. So I think that's another thing to consider. So you can move on talking about um, the remuneration.
Okay, so like I said, I'm starting with the HMB first. The ones I have on ground. So Abuja is having 105, Oshun 87, Ondo
Um,
is 105. by the time they finally start collecting anyway. Then HSC Lagos is 90K. Now this is minus the hazard allowance. Some are already
Okay.
collecting while some are.
All
Uni
right.
Osun Teaching Hospital 93K. FMC Abeokuta is 140K. They paid them around yesterday, and they started adding the hazard allowance. So yes, it's 140K. Then there is FMC Ido Ekiti, that's 116K. Jute 142K. Unilori TH, that's UITH, that's 110. OUTHC, that's 102. So I think there is possibility of them adding the hazard allowance to it on their next pay.
All right.
They said on their next pay.
All right. Before you go ahead, so I'm seeing
Okay.
a question already. So if you have a question, just begin to drop there
Okay, yes, let me.
so that immediately she's done, we can. No. When you're through, we'll attend to questions. I'm just telling them that they can begin to drop their questions in the chat box or in the
Okay.
question section. Okay, so
Okay.
you can go ahead now.
Okay, so I heard that. Okay, I heard that National Hospital Abuja, before the hazard, they were collecting 135K. Actually, according to their pay slip, they are not collecting shift allowance. Instead, they are collecting call allowance. So that makes their pay a bit higher than the other ones. Then I think they didn't pay them for a while, so they collected the arrears of the hazard, yes, together, 4 months together. So then we have Unimed, they are collecting 99K. FMC Kefi, that's 100K. Exuit 97, and okay, UCH, I think I've mentioned that. UCH, that's 117. Thank you.
Okay, so we just keep emphasizing this again that beyond the money.
Okay.
You want to say something?
Yes, there's a range for this thing. So I realized that for Queen's 8, federal teaching hospitals, that's FTH, they are having their range of 105 without hazard. FMCs, they're having a range of 120. So it's between 110 to 120 for FMCs without hazard allowance. Then hospital management boards, that's the HMBs, they have 95K range without hazard allowance. So you can also, if you're looking towards remuneration for that particular for internship, you can tailor it towards, okay, do I want HMB? Do I want FMC? Do I want FTH? Then there are some other places that, such as private hospitals. There was one I heard, but I'm not very sure about the remuneration, so I would not. Was around 97. Is an hospital in Lagos. So I think there are different ones now. Lagoon is now taking intern nurses. St. Nicholas too. So, and there are other hospitals, but you have to do your research well and find out if they are paying them and paying them well. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so it's crossed my mind now that you were talking. I think there's an hospital, a private hospital in Ogbomoso. I think there was a time they were paying 40, there was a time they were paying 50. I'm not very sure.
Yes.
Do you have an idea?
Yes. 50. I'm very sure.
Okay. So you really want to make your findings. We have a question here. Somebody is asking from Allah, Furala to Allah. He's asking if some hospitals actually provide accommodation for intern nurses.
Yes, some hospitals do provide accommodation, but not all. In fact, it's best to go with the mindset that they would not provide. Then if you find that is good. But I think even with provision of accommodation, you would still have to pay some money. I think or FMC or you have to pay, I think around 25 per bed space. Yes. So
You
they
see,
some
you see it
hospital.
too.
Oh, you say it does. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They provide
it also provides
accommodation.
accommodation.
Yes. But
How
I
about
wasn't
those?
provided. Is it for everybody?
For intern nurses, for all this.
Oh, okay. For FMC, though, there is no accommodation for intern nurses.
Alright. So I'm not sure we have any other question. So I think that brings us to the end of this session. I hope it has been educative. Sure, do you have any other thing that you would like to share before we end the space?
Mm, okay. There was another thing that I was able to do during my internship related to money. I told you that I already had a skill, and when I started internship, I thought there was no way, nobody knows me here. There is no reason for me to tell anybody. But I told one or two people that I actually do this. I bake cakes. And someone said, why not tell someone? In fact, I'll do the advertisement for you. And throughout the 1 year internship, I was able to make my sales. Now, I'm saying as an intern nurse, if you have a skill that you're good at, there's nothing stopping you from putting it out. It's an extra income. In fact, I think one of the main aims of internship is to save money for the future, for our head. NYC is coming. You don't know what you're going to meet. So if there's a reason for you to make more money during that time, definitely, why not? Then saving is also important. I had some colleagues of mine that were able to do this ajo. Were able to put money together, and by the time each person started having his take home, it was something worthwhile. Even if you put it in piggy vest or maybe safe bank, etc., you know you have something tangible at the end of internship. It's easy to start internship and say, okay, I'm going there for the money. But by the time you are done, you should be able to point out something you use the money to do. So it's more than just collecting the money. It's something important. Thank you. And thank you very much for bringing me here. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you too. Okay, so I think to go over the things you first said again, particularly about saving and all. Most of the times, I mean, judging from different people's experience now, when starting the work, there is usually this excitement of, oh, I'm going to be collecting 170K. And you realize that the money is valuable the first month, the second month, it's also valuable. You see, when it gets to the third, the fourth, and fifth month, you begin to realize that, oh, this money is not even enough
It's
again.
not enough.
So,
It's not enough at all.
so
It's small
So when you
money.
say the way you're hearing the way you're hearing 116, 120, 90 something, it might sound valuable and something big to you. But really the truth of the matter, I mean, this space is not talking about finance, but you realize that over time, even though it is still the same amount, but the value of the money drops. Because there's something about money. The more money you have, the more responsibility, and there's a way if you are if you are a person who used to eat maybe you used to spend maybe 20K for your feeding in a month. There's a way where you begin to get to that 100K. You start spending like 50K.
Buy shawarma.
Exactly. So you really want to be a disciplined person. You really want to use structures that will help you manage the money you are earning. So that at the end of the day, because just realize that within a twinkling of an eye, 12 months will just clock. And what did I do with my money? Is it 12 months already? And you begin to feel like maybe you should continue the internship, whereas you have to move to the next phase. I think we should talk about this. That moving from internship or somebody considering NYC, there's always a slide in your salary, your pay.
Definitely.
I mean, probably now you are getting begin your NYC. You begin to earn probably like 70 something in a month. If you hear me,
Yeah, I can hear you a bit. Please, could you
yeah,
repeat the
do you get
question?
what I mean? No, it's not a question. I'm just talking about the slide in pay that happens
Yeah.
after internship. Moving to NYC.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I said saving is important. In fact, for someone like me, the NYSC
Yeah.
is not coming as early as I expected. Because I thought I'll finish internship this month, then start NYSC the next month. Now, fortunately, unfortunately, I'm still at home. And for the past 3 months, there is no pay coming in. Now, if I'd spent all the money, there is nothing to bank on. I'm going to have a lot of issues. Now, before I even start NYC, and I'm seeing a pay slip of about 70 something thousand. Obviously, my tastes, like my expensive tastes, I would have to tailor it towards the new salary. So I just believe there's a way of doing it, and you have to work towards it. That's why I said if there's an extra also, why not take it up?
All right. So it's been an educative and an enlightening. Thank you for joining in, Fair. I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Thank
and
you,
to
Dara.
everyone
I'm
who
so grateful to be here.
joined, yeah. And to everyone who joined, thank you for joining. Yeah, we'll be having the last, the last series of this session probably next week or in 2 weeks' time. So, so bye for now. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. So the space ends 1 second now.